It's not working out. Yo, guys, my network is so terrible. I don't know if I'll be able to do this today. I really don't know if I'll be able to do this today, you guys. My network is so bad. I couldn't even work here today. I'm looking at it now. It's so weak. I couldn't even work here at home today. I had to go to my district hospital to do my day-to-day work duties. But I wanna see if we would be able to talk. Molweni guys, good evening. Can you hear me? My network is literally orange. It shows that it's poor. Hi Lunga. Hi my friend. Guys, the network it's so bad today. This is what I do not appreciate about spring in the region of the Eastern Cape that I'm in. It's always raining, always cold. And when it's like this, my network is just terrible. Hi Brilliant. My network is just terrible. Today I wanted us to do the research topic, I wanted us to talk about your research. And I'm hoping Kagiso and Kwanele would come in. But if my network becomes worse, we'll have to reschedule this to next week Monday, or maybe to sometime during the week, because it's such an important topic. So I wanted them to take us, first of all, Kagiso was going to share about his study, right? A bit about his study with us. But I wanted them to take us through the process of research, and of course for you guys to have an opportunity or a platform to ask questions pertaining to research. There are things that I know we tend to struggle a lot with when it comes to master's degrees, getting into the program, when you are within the program. First of all, how do you even start by choosing a topic? My research supervisor likes saying, you don't suck your thumb when you are doing research. He likes to say, oh, how did you come about these questions that you're going to use on your data collection? And I would say to him, I just picked them. Hi y'alls. I just picked them. And he'd say, no, you can't just suck your finger and come up with questions that you're going to use for your data collection too. They have to match with your objectives. They have to, they have to match with your objectives. They have to match with your framework. They also need to match with your research question. Oh, and my mind will just go in a block mode. But my questions on my data collection tool needs to match these three things. How do I even start? What does that even mean? For someone who do not have a strong research background, things are very challenging. I don't know what my network feels like on your end. I really don't know. I don't know what it looks like or how it feels like. Do things feel normal on your end with my network? Guys, why is she? I was taking a nap. Today I was outside the whole day because I couldn't work here. Ngenxa network. But I want Kagiso to tell me if he is ready for us today. The other thing is a concept note. You guys know that you can't get into a master's program. Okay, ulunga, my network is fine. You guys know that you for you to get into a master's program, you need to write a concept note, right? Like, what is a concept note? What are you expected to say or to do when it comes to writing a concept note? Let me just quickly fetch my laptop. Ne? Or should I take my iPad? Let me take my laptop. Okay. I don't know if Gonile is here. She's not here. I don't think she's here. Recently, someone sent me their concept note to look at it. Well, I haven't because I didn't get the time to do so. I was, but I saw you coming in. I just don't know if Kwanele is here. I saw you coming in, Gachend. I was saying before you came in, I was saying that namhlanje no problem in network. As a result, I was not even working from home. I had to go to the hospital to have better coverage. And I'm gonna give to you now. But I just want to like debrief people who were not here last week Monday, who probably don't know what are we talking about today. So and then maybe you can come in. Guys, can you please just tap the screen so that people can know that we are here? Then maybe you can come in and take over. Then just share the live with other nurses, ne? Someone asked, why am I only inviting nurses? Because really my platform is for the nurses. That's the only reason. But even if you want to share with someone who's not a nurse, it's still fine. But the reason we are here today is because, first of all, research feels like a lonely journey, you guys. Your research feels like a lonely journey, and if you do not have a community of people that supports you, people that simplifies concepts for you, then it even becomes a more depressive, lonely journey. On last week's TikTok live, we ended up touching on the senior degrees, that is your master's and your PhD a bit, and we spoke about how challenging those degrees can be sometimes, and how much of a lonely journey it is, and how we don't have platforms where we are able to be ourselves as students and talk about our challenges. Then we agreed that we're going to have our first live today. We'll have people who have done their masters, passed them, and graduated, and us who are on the other side. Either you are going through your masters right now, or you are intending to pursue a master's in the near future. So I'm going to bring in Okagiso. He is going to share with us about his own master's journey, but personally I have some things that I would love him to share with us, only if my laptop can at least be responsive. I was thinking today on my end, this is what I would like us to talk about. How do you pick a research topic, right? Like when it comes to deciding what title to, like what will your study be called, or what are you looking for? Like how do you go about doing that? Because you don't just wake up and say, oh, today I'm going to research on this. Nje, but you don't have a reason. Right, that's number one for me. And also just for people to explain for us what a concept note is, because a concept note is often the first thing that is required for you to get into a master's program. In my case at Stellenbosch, we were asked to write concept notes, and that concept note had to determine if I'm going to get accepted or not. Gonele just joined in. So on my end, the concept note was part of the application. I don't know the person who sent me their concept note by ufunda yena. Evening, I don't know Bufundapi, but I can tell that it seems like all universities do that. Before you get into a master's program, they want you to write a concept note. Or at Stellenbosch, it's like they use it as a mock for research proposal to say, do you even know how to sort of write something that is like not too expanded, like a research proposal. I didn't know what a concept note was, you guys, and I had to write it. And when I was writing it, luckily, because I've got friends in academia, um, because I have friends in academia, like my friends got to assist me. Yeah, Uncle Lisbex. My friends got to assist me, but there's someone who doesn't have friends who are in academia. Can people come and assist us and share with us about these steps of getting into a master's program? But before we deep dive into the conversation, I want to give Kagiso to quickly share with us what his study is about, and then maybe he can then drive us into the conversation. For those who do not know, Kagiso recently got the great news that he finished his PhD. So we now have Dr. Dukisi in the house, who is a midwife specialist. He has a PhD in midwifery and neonatal science, but he's gonna get into the depth of all of that and maybe just lay the foundation for us. Like, how do you choose a research topic? Maybe we should start there today. I'm gonna want you guys as students, particularly people who are doing their masters, people who wants to do their masters, to please take advantage of these people. These are not our lecturers. That's number one. Number two, you can sound stupid here and you can sound like you do not know. It's okay. They are not our supervisors. Like, we can literally ask any kind of question and they will take it if they can. If they can't, then you will go back to your supervisor. So I will allow people to also request to be able to ask questions if they also are allowed to write your questions for the documentation. So the panelists, good evening. Gabby, I'm going to it's all here. My
Yeah,
I was
network.
gone. Okay, right?
It
Was
was
I
your
gone? I
network.
think I was
No, no,
gone.
you were
Should we
gone. Your
reschedule?
network is really
Should we,
better.
should, I think we should reschedule. Should we reschedule to another day? Oh, and people are here. So many people are here. I'm so sad. For those
Do you
who
think we're gonna
couldn't.
take again?
The thing is, today it's so bad. Someone says no. Guys, the network today is so bad. I couldn't even do my work during the day, but I know how important this. I wish I can give you guys the login details so that you can continue, and then I'll later on be able to download this. Oh, my god. Lava, can you log in?
let's
Should I or
let's
should we,
try. Yeah?
what should we do?
But we are here now. I think
Okay. Okay, okay. Let's go. But
um,
if I'm
let's
gone, let's just say if
let's
I'm gone, bear with me, right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Hopefully I don't know anything.
Yeah. All right, let me hand over to you and not even waste time. Please. First of all, congratulations, Dr. Dukisi. Can you just give us a brief summary of what it took and what it means for us to be calling you Dr. Dukisi today?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Z. Good evening, Kwanele. Thank you so
Mm.
much for the opportunity to be here and for the congratulatory messages that I have received even last week. Is it last week? Oh, mid-August. That's
Yeah.
when the news actually went out, but I know that you know exactly when did I receive the news, and I was just so scared to say anything. But then the colleagues said, "Ah, you cannot keep this to yourself any longer." And but during that announcement when it happened, because I did not even announce my own news, they
Mm.
were announced by the community of nurses and academics and the likes of Z. It made me realize that this qualification is really not about me. I might have done it, but it is definitely for the nursing and the midwifery profession, and uh, that's how big this whole thing is. And I feel honored to have done this for the profession because a whole lot of people are going to benefit from this, meaning my students, undergraduates, are going to receive it from the best. I'm not even going to mention the specialists. These oral candidates in midwifery are still going to come out of this PhD of mine. So it's really is a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you want to know also what do you also want to know?
I also wanna
Or
know
what will
like
you?
your just I know them obviously, but just can you briefly just like summarize all your qualifications?
Oh, okay. So it's quite a list. It is quite
Yes.
a list. So I hold a diploma in comprehensive nursing, general psychiatry, community, and midwifery outside of the bracket. So that is the R425 that I did at the nursing college.
Yeah.
So I also hold the Bachelor of Nursing Education and Administration, BK Ed at Admin from the Northwest University. And then I hold a clinical master's degree in midwifery and neonatal nursing from the University of Johannesburg, which was a combination of the clinical program, which led to my registration as a midwife specialist. And then the research component of it led to my registration as the Master of Midwifery and Neonatal Nursing. That course has since been phased out together with R425 and the BK Ed admin. So I'm old, guys.
So that BK can. And Yona, what did it come with? You were registered as what under that BCAT degree?
That BK degree, it was nursing education and administration at the Northwest University. It was not a combined program like it was at UP and at UJ. Remember, at UJ, it was BK education and administration plus the clinical specialization of your choice.
Okay. And your
So we
master's
are aided.
coursework.
So the master's coursework was the clinical midwifery, meaning I did all of the modules that a person who would sit for the then advanced diploma in advanced midwifery and neonatal nursing science diploma would sit for. So I actually sat for the lectures, wrote exam, did clinicals to get to be registered as a specialist. And then the research component of it is what led to me receiving the master. So it was clinical specialization plus a minor dissertation or a mini dissertation. I don't know what's mini about it because it, it's the entire research process that you do.
Thank you so much
So that's
for
so at the moment, I am the doctorandus for midwifery and neonatal nursing science because I'm still waiting to cross the stage.
location.
So
That's the current location.
so that's where we are currently.
Can you briefly take us through your study? What were you studying? Why did you choose that particular topic? Yonke Lando.
So I just want to find my prologue very quickly because it might even help answer the questions that you had about how do you identify the research topic and why is it so important for you to actually follow that topic up. So I'm going to read briefly my prologue, and then hopefully people are going to realize that research actually is everywhere. Wherever you are working, there is a specific problem that you can actually respond to using your scientific research, and that can carry you up to the masters and the PhDs. So this is what happened.
Okay.
I have had the opportunity to experience the entire midwifery field. And this study, I'm talking about the PhD now, is actually the result of my own experiences as a midwife practitioner in the midwifery context. So in 2012, I was transferred from the clinic where I completed my community service year, and I joined the Job Chimangana Tabane Hospital where I requested to be placed in the labor ward. So it's not a secret. Midwifery has always been my passion. And of course, I have received numerous distinctions in both theory and clinical examinations in my undergraduate study. So no surprises that I am here for the PhD in midwifery. But we are not talking about that. The adjustment from the clinic to the hospital environment was challenging for me because in the hospital, in the clinic settings, I often had to refer the high risk patients that I saw at the clinic according to the maternity care guideline to the hospital where they were managed in a high risk area. So for me, this ensured that I sort of practiced in what I can say in the inverted commas a safe environment because then due to the referrals, I only cared for the low risk patients. Okay, so I was then in the hospital. I found myself in the hospital immediately after my community service, and in the hospital now, the context for me had changed because I'm now in the high risk context. So I was teaming up with the advanced midwives who led teams. So we always had one or two in our teams, but one advanced midwife will always be the team leader. So I had a very difficult patient who was not progressing in labor, and then I then requested that an advanced midwife come in and help me reassess the the patient. I will never forget her facial expression when she said, "O boleletse ngaka nana?" For those who do not hear Setswana, did you tell the doctor about this? Then I replied, "No, not yet. I would like you to confirm my findings." She then said, "He, bolella ngaka nana. E le gore nna ke a go dira eng after that reassessment, meaning that reassessment that must happen. Please tell the doctor." So this very, very incident is the one that led to this PhD being done because it left me with so many questions. Or the midwife or the advanced midwife is supposed to be more knowledgeable than me, more knowledgeable and skilled, and she should be able to respond to what I'm unable to respond to. So remember that in the hospital, then we do have the doctors, and with the doctors, it is very clear. Or an intern is going to do his thing, and then if he's unable to, then an MO is supposed to respond to that, and then an MO again still has a registrar or a consultant who is able to respond to some of the things that their MO is unable to respond to at the moment. So there is that hierarchy, which is something that I missed when I was looking at my own midwifery practice at the moment under the advanced midwife and a neonatal nurse specialist who is supposed to be leading the team. Then, then I.
The midwife specialist responded that way to you, not because she herself was incompetent, but because she didn't, there was no room for her to act. It wasn't an issue of an individual being insufficient when it comes to knowledge, but there was just no room for her to act on that situation.
Yes. That's exactly what was the issue.
Okay.
She even said, "Ke tlo etsa eng after that? You need to just go ahead and inform the doctor so that the doctor can act." But then that's not the response that I expected as a junior midwife. I expected her to step in and actually do something while we are, waiting for the doctor to step in, or she must do something, and then if she's unable to, proceed any further, then she can then invite the doctor into the situation. That's the mind that I had, or this is what is going to happen. But unfortunately, that did not happen. So that was a question that stayed with me. But why is she not assisting? Because she is a midwife and a neonatal nurse specialist, and I'm working under her because at the moment she is leading this team. So the midwifery team is all supposed to be responding to her, but that was it. Needless to say, I joined the specialization as well. I enrolled for the very program, Clinical Masters plus the minor dissertation, because I also wanted to become a specialist. So same as everyone else, I underwent the program, I acquired the advanced knowledge and skills, and then I went back to the clinical practice. Again, I realized that I am also stuck. I cannot proceed beyond the basic midwifery, so to speak. That was the second thing. And then I moved from clinical into academia. So while we were in the academia, we were making the exam. And then one of the lecturers I was working with received the admission letter to go and study the advanced midwifery and neonatal nursing at the college, one of our sister campuses. And then one lecturer in the team who was not specialized by then also made mention of something. And she said, "I don't really understand the logic behind the advanced midwifery studies." Honestly, that was her. because I really never saw a difference between the basic midwifery practice and the practice of that advanced midwifery and neonatal nursing specialist that you are all talking about. I mean, what's new? What is it Cecily Wang after this? And then her exact words, if I'm going to quote her verbatim, just to let people know that I have undergone the process of research verbatim. She said, "Siyafana nje, sibiza uDr. Sonke." So for those who are not Nguni speaking, we are all the same. We all call the doctor to assist us. So the midwife specialist, who is me, sitting there listening to this conversation, I knew that she was telling the truth because it happened. I could not be assisted. I qualified. I could not assist. And then way. So I knew that I needed to do a study, and this study is supposed to help us to get to a point where we become autonomous in our own practice. I redefine the role and responsibility of the midwife specialist in the context of, mother and child sphere. That was the intention. So now I also saw a post on Facebook. This was in 2020, and the post it was somebody intubating a patient, and somebody the caption there was, "I do not understand why intubation isn't a nursing skill." That was the caption on Facebook. Then I went ahead and I shared the post. But in my sharing of the post, I said, "Dear critical and trauma and emergency nursing specialist, here is the question." And then people flocked, the specialists in those disciplines flocked to the post. They mentioned a whole lot of things, but ICU trained nurses do intubate if the doctor is in theater and the condition of the patient is rapidly deteriorating. That was one person mentioning this. And then the other person responded to this comment that I've just read, and she said, "And if this goes wrong, you will be referred back to your scope of practice. This needs to be part of the scope of practice for those that are trauma trained. Otherwise, what's the point of being called a specialist?" So there was a lot of debate under that post, but the conclusion from that was that I needed to do something about the specialists of this country, and I know that my study was supposed to be about the scope of practice and the professional autonomy. That's how I came up with my concept notes and everything. So people who are here, this comes from the ward because I experienced it in the ward. I went to school and I still encountered the very same problem. I was in an interaction with the colleagues who experienced what I did experience, confirming that indeed this was a problem. I went ahead and invited all other specialists into a conversation. They didn't know that I was thinking my research. This was in 2020, and I enrolled for my PhD in 2021. So that's how I conceptualized this problem. I think we lost Z again.
The other people.
We did. So I'm gonna just pause a bit because she said we should bear with her. Yeah, we are trying to give Z some moment to regroup. He's acting up, but yeah, we will just be patient for this. Yes, Manuel, because the problem statement actually is derived from my observation in the clinical practice, my own experience and observation in the clinical practice. We waited for you, honey. Do
Yes,
not
he can
yeah.
actually. Okay. You know what's funny? I can literally hear you guys when you are talking. Like you responded Manuku. But someone says maybe you can lead the session because I don't think Z is planning. Yeah. So when
Is
I'm
waiting
gone,
on her.
please continue. Yes, when I'm gone, please continue.
Oh,
Am I
okay.
here? Am I back now? Okay. Yeah.
You are back. We can hear you very clearly. So
Okay.
yeah. So I did respond to Manuku. I have mentioned to her that I have research topic and research this problem statement rather was influenced or I derived it from my own observation and clinical experiences in the clinical practice. So this was in 2020 and I enrolled for this PhD in 2021. I started in 2021, meaning I applied for it in 2020 and got accepted for 2021 for me to proceed. But then remember what I mentioned. I said the problem here was the fact that there was no professional autonomy that I saw with regards to what's happening with the midwife and the midwife specialist. And then from what the comments that we had from the people that I had interactions with on Facebook just to check with other specialities, then we also found out that they are having the very same predicament, that the knowledge and skills are being taught, they are in place, but we actually do not have the professional, the legal coverage to perform all of those, which, if you think about it, could be the reason why I was not assisted, because the midwife specialist could not go further than what a midwife can do, an ordinary midwife can do. So, with that in mind, in 2021, then my concept notes and problem statements were titled "The Revision of the Scope of Practice for Midwife for the midwife specialist South African context." That's what I wanted to do, because from those discussions I could deduce that The problem here will be the scope of practice, or is the scope of practice. A scope of practice needs to be revised so that the midwives specialists can actually get their power back to utilize their knowledge and skills so that they can eventually become distinct from midwives, the ordinary mid or the basic midwives. That was the initial idea of the study. But then, as you know, research becomes an academic conversation. So people will agree with you, and some are going to disagree with you, and then they are going to propose something else. And that's what happened. Needless to say, the study itself, as it was when I've initially presented it, meaning the revision of the scope of practice for midwife specialist South African context, then it met mixed. There were mixed reactions to that.
Okay.
One, people enjoy. There's a group of people that actually loved the idea. People loved the idea of the study and then wanted the study to see the light of the day as it was. And there were other people, other group of people who felt like the study cannot be done at this level. So now it was a hot mess. I almost gave up because the study as it was received. I got the best presentation in at the Universitas 21 where I presented it, but then in house where the study was supposed to be approved, then there was counter response to say no, not as it is.
And
We
this was at ethics.
yes.
Okay.
So now we needed to change the study. So the study as it is now, initially we wanted to revise the scope of practice, but then the ethics suggested that there be development of strategies to facilitate the optimal utilization of the knowledge and skills of the midwife specialists. But then
For
this
for someone who is currently in undergrad at Mabatu College of Nursing, can you simplify that for them? I understand it because you're my friend, you've made me understood that. But for someone who is at nursing college right now, can you make them understand what that means? The transformation from your original concept of the study to what was then recommended by ethics.
what is the question I'm struggling to grasp?
Ethics changed your initial idea,
Initial topic, yes.
and why did they change it? But I want you to explain it in a simpler term, because right now you are explaining it at PhD level or at research level. I mean, I didn't understand your study from the onset. I had to ask you to say, are you going to change the scope of practice? Are you developing a scope of practice? And you made me understand that you're not necessarily developing or bettering the existing scope of practice, but you are coming up with frameworks and recommendation. What does that mean for a layman, someone, a student who is at the nursing college? What do you mean by that? What exactly is it that you are developing, or that you've developed with your PhD? You didn't develop a scope of practice. We're clear on that one, right?
Yeah, but the question was going to be answered as I go on because I was going to get
Okay.
to I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Otherwise, if I'm explaining it now, it's not going to make sense to the people.
Okay, Lava.
Yeah. So now, the study was about the strategy. Then it was recommended that there be strategies to facilitate the optimal utilization of the knowledge and skills of the midwives specialists in South Africa.
Yeah.
So this was because in the problem statement we had detailed that the knowledge and skills are there, they are in place because the midwife specialist has undergone training as an undergraduate midwife and they became midwives registered and then they further underwent training at the postgraduate level, which led to their registration as midwife specialists. So we are absolutely certain in terms of the education and training regulations that knowledge is in place because they were declared competent, hence their registration. But what we were unclear about was the fact that there was no specific scope of practice. That's why initially we went ahead and tried to revise the scope of practice, and then the ethics said, no, it cannot work like that. There's a lot that comes into play if you want to change the practice like that.
Okay.
Because that's basically what the research is all about. You want to change the status quo if it gets adopted or it gets to be implemented. That's what you are providing some solutions to the existing problem that you have identified and actually detailed in your problem statement. So that was the problem statement, that we do have the knowledge and skills in place, but we are unable to utilize it mainly because of the regulations that do not speak to the knowledge and skills that the new specialists have at the moment. So now we are tasked with development of the strategies. That's the topic now that we are working with. And it's a very huge task now. It's a very huge task that needs to be broken down into pieces so that it is achievable. So the study had to be divided into 4 phases for these strategies to be developed. In phase 1, we try to find out, or we try to explore the midwife specialist practice in its entirety. So we wanted to know what their experiences are regarding the very utilization of the knowledge and skills that we said is in place. So again, with that, we could not exactly focus on the midwife specialist alone. We needed to bring in other people who are working in very direct contact with the midwives specialists because, as I have said, we needed to explore it in its entirety. So we had to rope in the midwifery managers, we had to rope in the obstetricians, and then because midwifery is a regulated practice, we ended up also taking in the medical legal experts because that utilization of the knowledge and skill will always, end up with a litigation, and we need to be answerable for that. That is why they got to be included in there. So we went to town, we explored what the situation is, and to a certain extent, the findings actually confirmed what the background has provided and a little bit of the problem statement because the midwife specialists admitted that the knowledge and skills are there in place, but they are unable to utilize it, mainly because there are no specific regulations. So, Lebona, where they are sitting right now, they do not feel confident enough to can say they are midwife specialists because there are some of the things that makes you a midwife specialist that they are not doing in the clinical practice, mainly because of those regulations. So knowledge and skill loss became part of the problems that emerged. And then the obstetricians, on the other hand, also mentioned that we do have the midwife specialists. We know very well that they are knowledgeable and skilled, but to a certain extent, they are unable to step up for some reason. So instead, they come across as being defensive in their practice. But then, because of their deeper understanding of the litigations, medical litigations, especially in obstetrics, then they were very confident to say the reason why they are not doing so it is because they are fearful of the litigations.
Okay.
Then the midwifery managers also confirmed the same to say collaboration between the midwife specialist and the obstetrician is often strained because of the inconsistencies that exist in practice. Some midwives are able to do, midwife specialists are able to do this, some are unable to do this. So it is frustrating for the obstetricians in most cases. So that became yet another problem. And then the medical legal expert said, Pella, this is a regulated practice, you must always remember. So we do have the competencies for their training, and then we also have got specific training regulations for them. So we know the characteristics and the competencies that they need to have as specialists, but those cannot be used as a legal document to allow them to practice. There's supposed to be a specific scope of practice designed to meet or to complement the knowledge and competencies that they do have. At the moment, that document is not there, which makes the utilization of the advanced midwifery and neonatal nursing skills to be questionable, legally speaking. So we knew that we were sitting with a problem here, and then we used all of that information to get to the conceptual framework that I'm not going to talk about at the moment because it's going to confuse a whole lot of people. But the conceptual framework is the structure that we use to develop the strategies that I am talking about right now. So if I'm going to give summary of those strategies, we remember what I said. I said the midwife specialist said they are not knowledge. They feel like they have lost their knowledge and skills, and they are not even confident enough to can be called the midwife specialist at this moment because of the knowledge and skills loss that they suffered. So to sum that up, it means currently we are dealing with a disempowered midwife specialist. So this is the person we cannot grant the specific scope of practice to at the moment. We need to look at her first. We need to empower her first so that she can be ready to assume his or her position. That was one. And then the second the second strategy I said, or the second problem rather that we found out, I said the obstetricians and the midwifery managers have got an impression about the midwife specialists being over dependent and being defensive in their practice and all of those. So we needed to change that perception. So we do have a strategy to reintroduce the empowered midwife specialist back into practice, meaning back to the obstetricians and the midwifery managers, so that that perception of disempowerment, over dependence, and defense in their practice can change. Then only then we can get into changing the specific documents that are supposed to guide the midwife specialist practice. One being the scope of practice itself. We've got a strategy to revise the scope of practice so that it becomes or it complements rather the knowledge and the competencies of the midwife specialist. And then what we know about the scope of practice is that if it changes, it would mean the job description of the midwife specialist in the public and private health sectors are going to have to change. So we do have the strategy to also revise the job description so that it aligns to the scope of practice and also to the knowledge and skills in place for the midwife specialist. Job description and the scope of practice would mean, if they are changing, it means even the maternity care guideline that we use will also have to change to incorporate the changes that are going to be done, meaning through the scope of practice and the job description. So that also needed to change. So we have the strategy to revise the maternity care guideline so that it is comparable or complements rather the scope of practice, the job description, and the competencies that we know are in place for the midwife specialist. And now, because I mentioned that the medical legal expert said we are in a litigation prone environment here because our practice is rather questionable at this point in time, then we also have the strategy now to allow the documents that I have just mentioned now to also be aligned, because we do not want the issue that we are having now, that the scope of practice that we have is subject to interpretation and it can be interpreted anyhow. So everybody has got their own interpretation of it. So we wanted, as we developed rather a strategy to harmonize the or to allow alignment between the scope of practice, the job description, and the maternity care guideline together with all of those competencies. So those are the strategies. I'm talking about the ones that actually emanated from the data that we have received from phase one, where we explored what the issues are on the ground. So the first and the last strategy is all about the collaboration between the South African Nursing Council and the public and the private health sector. So if you want to know why the collaboration, it is because we've got midwives who are employed in these two sectors. We are oscillating between the two sectors. So we wanted these strategies to actually address the two sectors, because we do not want a midwife to be empowered in one sector and be disempowered in another. That movement is supposed to still continue. So for that to be achieved, the private health sector as well as the public health sector needs to come together with the South African Nursing Council for this to happen. So the first and the last strategies are about that, where we are developing the relationship between the public, private, and the SANC. And then in the last strategy, we are maintaining that relationship, because we need the scope of practice might need to keep on changing. So this collaboration must continue. That was one. That was all about the phase three. And then in phase four, then I roped in a whole lot of professionals to come and validate or evaluate rather these strategies, just to ensure that they are relevant to South Africa and the current problems that we are having at the moment. So that was my PhD, and I ended up with a very big thesis from this, because this was a lot of work. And yeah, I'm just glad that I'm briefing and I'm able to talk about it here, because it was a near death experience. I don't want to lie, it was a lot.
Yeah, you finish me all the times when you're saying it was a near death experience. I have a question here.
Yeah.
Is your way of discovering what it is that you want to study, right? It happened in clinical. In the context of nursing, and probably Kwanele can also respond to this question. Is there a different way that people can use to identify what to study? On my end, I think you know this because I've spoken to you. We've got a lot of telehealth platforms that are seeking to attract young people into accessing healthcare, right? But when you try to find out what do they want, what works best for young people, which platform works best for young people, I think I've always said that to you, that I want to know what do they want, what do young people want. And mine was inspired by my conversations with young people in the consulting rooms back when I was still at clinical. But is there another way that an individual can identify a problem? No, let me rephrase that. Is there another way that an individual can come up with a study topic besides identifying a gap at clinical? Is identifying a gap at clinical the only way a person can be able to come up with a research topic? And this one is for you, Anel. We
This
saw
is for
how
me.
it's so beautiful how you did it, right? Because I think how you did it makes you to never lose the goal, or makes you understand the foundation of your research better. But is there any other way? Hunandi, I sent you a request by mistake, my love. Is there any other way that people can follow when choosing a research topic? I saw someone in here who has a master's degree, so I'm also gonna send them. They probably left. Kwanele, how did you do? And guys, I also have a follow-up. Sorry to bombard you with questions. I wanted to also ask you about research topic yako ya kwa masters team.
Oh, okay. Before we get to the question, okay. My research topic for the masters was the experiences of midwives regarding the use of obstetric triage
Okay.
in the selected hospital in Bujanala district. That was my master's, and it was because of the what I observed when it comes to the initial examination of the woman in labor during that admission. So
What
I
did
was
you
not, yeah, so I was not entirely happy with the series of examinations that were being done there. And then I was also not very happy with the tool that we actually used to collect data from the patients during that initial examination, because for me, it did not really, you know, speak to identification of a high and low risk patient. It was just a general assessment that one do according to me. So anyway, the midwives in the ward, they did in the hospital where the study was conducted, then had a lot to say also about the initial examination and how they also struggle with clinical decision making, and how the tool actually is a disadvantage to all of us, because you still you needed to fill that tool, and you still needed to write a whole lot of notes, and they actually made a recommendation for the tool to be revised, and those recommendations were actually uh, captured as an annexure in my thesis or dissertation, my master's dissertation, and then I also have got an article published on the midwife's recommendations of an ideal obstetric triage tool that they would love to see being implemented in our clinical facilities. But I was going to go ahead with that topic for my PhD, but the issue of the scope of practice now to priority, or you know, uh, it haunted me so much. I could not let go of that one. So I actually started the research afresh in my PhD, and that is why it became so difficult and so complex for me. But it was worth it because it is everything that I wanted to do. So I think that compensate for all the pain that I had to endure doing it.
Okay, yeah, I need to, and I think you covered, because I needed to understand why didn't you go with the same topic. There is a student here who's saying, is that the only way for me to identify a topic or a gap um, um, for a study? Your approach is the only approach that is available?
Observation and experience is exactly
Okay.
what is going to help you identify the gap.
Yeah.
Those are
Cornelia is in the
that is why I was also saying, if you remember if you remember our previous conversation, even in these lives, I said I, for one, really recommend that people who are in clinical practice be the ones conducting the research, because they are in that situation. They understand what is going on at the moment. They are sitting with this problem on a
yeah.
daily basis, and conducting that research at that point is really going to make a significant contribution, because you are not only going to do the research, but you are going to be conducting a contextually relevant
Yeah.
research to address the specific problem
That
right
is
now as it happens.
mm. Hmm. That is very powerful. And I hope people hear what you are saying, because I recently had a call with someone, and I don't see her here, but she said that she does not, or she feels that master's degrees should be done by people who are going to use them, right? And what she meant by that is, like, are you going to be in academia? They want you to have a master's degree there. Are you going to be a director? They want you to have a master's degree there. So she believes that senior degrees should be done by people whose jobs require those qualifications as academic requirements. And I think what you are saying is so important. And I'd like to believe that it's probably easier to do research when you are right in the midst of the problem, right? You are trying to solve something that you are experiencing on day to day.
Yeah, things like doing a research on pathogram and the cardiotocograph tracing. You are doing those things daily, and then you expect a person who has never plotted a pathogram in 20 years. I'm talking about a pathogram on a real life patient isn't creating it for the scenarios it does. Dealing with the patient at that moment, making your own recordings and interpretations of that, you know what it takes for that to happen. So you need to you are the relevant person to actually do the research with that thing or on that thing, because it is going to be so meaningful. You are going to be so specific. You are going to be so relevant. You are going to be the one actually changing the guideline to be what you know works. Unlike us, I mean, I haven't delivered a woman in like 5 years,
Yeah.
really. If we were to talk about to talk about the specific midwifery management, right now I'm on the theoretical side of it, and then a person is on the on the ground experiencing what is currently happening. That person is more suitable to can do the research than me, who is sitting here and actually saying at the end of this lesson, ladies and gentlemen, you should be able. We are in my times right now.
Yeah.
A person who's there is supposed to be the one doing this.
Because they know the current existing research gaps
Yes.
that are there. Yeah.
They know what the problems are.
Mm. Kwanele is also in the rural, so I'm wondering if she's here or she's not. She also struggles with issues of network. Uh, Papa Sibu mentioned something here, so that sometimes as lecturers, you guys tend to deny us of our desired research topics as lecturers, and we would say, no, I don't want you to do this. Let's rather do this. You've taught me something in my research journey that I should defend what I wanna do. I should justify it. If my supervisor says, no, let's take out HIV. If I really want to put it in, I should then give him reasons why I don't want to take it off my topic. Can you maybe just emphasize to people the significance of doing that?
Yeah. Okay. So remember what I mentioned when I started. I said one thing that we always need to remember is that the research is an academic conversation.
Yeah.
It's a debate, an academic debate.
Mm.
So you need to be strong enough to can justify or defend your topic and the research program, especially if you feel so strongly about it.
Mm.
If you feel so strongly about it, then you need to go ahead and justify the topic, justify and rationalize and provide reasons why this topic is so important right now. And also listen to why they are saying not this way, and listen to those suggestions. Allow the conversation to happen and also have your word in there. But Manoko is also raising another important thing here. Sometimes a niche area is also a big problem, because then you find that the supervisor does not want to do something midwifery related, and you know me, I am deep into midwifery. You cannot take me out of midwifery at this point. But then you get to the university, you find that the lecturer or the supervisor is not really into the midwifery side of things. The person is on the other community nursing. That's not my area of specialization. So that also is another reason why the supervisor might deny the topic and actually try to drive you towards their own niche area, because they want to remain in a specific area. So if that is the case, honey, there is absolutely nothing wrong with dropping the supervisor and actually going ahead and look for the supervisor who's going to speak to your niche area, or who's going to welcome your research problem and the proposed research topic as is, or in that particular field. That's how you go about it. Again, it's a conversation that you need to have.
Kwanele, are you here, my baby?
Kwanele is really struggling, it seems.
Okay.
So
Trying to
one
bring in Manuku.
yeah, you can add Manuk.
This is interesting, Kagiso. There is I'm trying to ask you questions that I would well, I used to ask you, right?
Yeah.
I know what is there's a prerequisite of writing a concept note. You've right now, by sharing your journey, you've taught us how to identify um a problem statement and also a title for your research. Now, when you're applying at universities, they want you to write a concept note. What is the difference between a
Mm.
research proposal and a concept note? And when students are writing a concept note, what do they need to have at the back of their mind to make sure that the paper that they are submitting is good enough to make them preferred candidates of the particular program they are applying for? Because most universities use that document to gauge whether they wanna put you into the program or not, right?
Okay, yeah. So the concept note, simply put, is a mini research proposal.
Yeah.
It's a mini research proposal. Yeah, you are giving people an idea of what you want to research about. So it gives the faculty, or the department rather, information already about you. Are you Do you have an idea of what research is? That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Because you should have actually studied and did a little bit of some background check with regards to your proposed research, if you have that problem already in mind.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be having. And then also the the proposal serve the purpose that Manoko was mentioning earlier, that sometimes the niche area becomes a problem. So people want to know already during your application who the potential supervisors are going to be. So if
Okay.
your problem falls within the niche area, here, Kagiso Tukisi, then we know that you are going to be placed. Kagiso Tukisi, by virtue of being a midwife specialist and a person who's researching in midwifery practice and practice regulations, then you are best suitable to be supervised by him. So that's what the concept note gives
Okay.
an idea of to the school so that prospective supervisors can be identified on your behalf. So, as I have said, it is a mini research proposal, meaning it's supposed to have those components that a research proposal, meaning we need to know what your research topic is. It doesn't have to be perfect
Yeah.
at this point. We need to know because it's going to undergo academic conversations and we are going to move from revision of the scope of practice to strategies to facilitate.
Yeah.
So you need to have the research topic that you are going to use or that is going to be used as a guide, meaning a working document. We need that. And then you need to read. You've got a problem in mind. Now you need to read about that particular problem, meaning we need you to interrogate the literature in order for you to write the background support why you are saying this is a problem.
Yeah.
Then your little problem statement there, and then once you've got those two, it means you can sort of formulate the research objectives. What do you want to achieve
Yeah.
with this study? It means exactly that you have identified the problem and now you are going to further investigate about it and then you are going to provide recommendations for the problems that you would have identified. That's basically it. And then once on the problem statement and the research objectives, now you need to, let the people know about how you intend to go about this resolving this problem statement that you have, meaning addressing the research objectives that you have developed from your research topic and your research problem statement. So it means there are some research designs and methodology there. Again, this would mean you need to go into the literature and actually read. So if we are going to use you as an example, you said when you started this, you were interested in how something about the telehealth,
Yeah. The perceptions of
telehealth, but
young people on telehealth.
yeah, telehealth, but then you were interested in the youth. So right from what you have said now that when the studies are focus on the youth, so meaning youth are going to be the ones who are going to participate in the study. So this sort of gels in together if we are going to start addressing issue at the methodology. Who's going to participate now in this study so how to resolve the problem? You said in your own words. I'm interested in the uptake of this telehealth, especially by the youth. So they will need to tell us how they want this to be done. So we know that we are going to ask them. So our population and sample of participants is going to be the very youth. So you also said, I want to know how they view this or how they are doing this or how. So we know that you want to hear their own voices with regards to. So this is going to influence the way you are going to collect the data that you need so much to actually address the research objectives that you have tabled for us. So we know we want to know about their own experiences, this and this and that. We are going to talk to them. So you can choose, are you doing focus groups or are you going to interview them individually?
Yeah.
We know that as soon as we are talking about the quality, the interviews, and then be interested on the how, meaning their lived experiences or their perceptions of this, then know as this is a qualitative study. So you already let the person know I'm going to conduct a qualitative study on the youth because I'm interested in their own experiences or in their own perceptions of this telehealth. And then by doing so, I'm going to have to interview them. And then this is the question that I'm going to ask so that I can get all of that information that I need so much. So once I have collected all of this information, I have to make sense of it, meaning I need to analyze it. Which types of qualitative data analysis method am I going to utilize? So again, you are still going to write there, "Oh, this is how I'm going to analyze this data and to get to answer my two research objectives that I would have posed up there." So your concept paper now is almost done, and then you need to also tell people now, well, what is the potential contribution of this study? Why are you interested in their perceptions or in their experiences as the youth, particularly regarding the uptake of this telehealth? So you are going to go ahead that you will notice it whatever. Maybe only the default and whatever. This is not youth friendly for people. The youth are not interested in walking to the clinic and actually sitting there for an hour. They they are in their phones all day, all night in any case. So if they can benefit health wise, that would be lovely. We know that they are doing something useful with their phones if they are hanging on to it like that. So those are the things that you mentioned here under your potential contributions of the study. So letting person know that is why I'm interested in this. This is what the study is going to bring. This is the change that's going to happen. So you've got your concept paper, a few pages like that. You have given a person an idea that this is the route that you are taking and this is the problem you are trying to resolve because you do have those research objectives, tabled. So this is going to initiate an academic conversation that I have mentioned. People are going to make additions and subtractions, and we are going to end up with a final product. But this provides an idea that I know what I want to do, I know the area I want to delve into, and I actually have the proposed methodologies to go that route.
Okay. I don't want this TikTok live to be long because I want to download it and put it on YouTube. But also, this is going to be continuous. It was suggested that we do one of these every month, right? I think I've asked enough questions on my end. I don't know if people have more questions. Please leave them on the comments. But I think I want us to pin it here for the night. There is a comment that is very important here. It actually comes from a friend of mine who is not a nurse. She asked to say, do you offer classes for people from other institutions? I've responded on your behalf as your PA to say, yes, you have a private company where you are offering consultations. Then they asked that you share your details. Can you maybe just briefly share what you offer in your organization and then you can details for people who wants to have private consultations with you.
Oh, okay. So in that private, how do you say private?
Yes,
the private.
an entire private company, guys. He has a consulting company.
So it's all about the qualitative research consultations for the qualitative research methodologies. I'm a qualitative researcher, so I tell a lot of stories. I think even from this live, people can just deduce that I speak a lot. So yeah, I'm a qualitative researcher. I speak and write a lot. So anything qualitative research related I am doing. So I am doing the review and corrections of the research proposals so that I can help you fast track the issue of submission to the relevant departments. Even when you do not understand some of the feedback from your committees or from your supervisors, then we are able to step in and do that. That's about the research. We are able to help you choose a relevant conceptual frameworks to underpin your theoretical frameworks, apologies, relevant theoretical frameworks specifically for the proposals to underpin your studies, and then we go above and beyond to justify why such and such a theoretical framework is relevant for your study, because that is also something that the the candidates, especially the master's candidates, struggle with.
Yeah.
It's a intern, not this one, that one. So we get we look at the study, we decide, we help you decide on the relevant conceptual framework, and then we help you come with the justifications why that theoretical framework is supposed to be accepted, particularly for your study. So meaning we are all about the relevance. So another thing that we do is the qualitative data analysis. With the qualitative data analysis, it means you would have collected your data, then you are going to transcribe it, and then we do the independent coding for you. That's one. And then we also do the moderation of the sessions, especially if you are doing the focus group discussions. We are able to moderate the discussions for you, even when you are uh, evaluating, even when you are evaluating that, even when you are I'm talking about the PhDs now. When you are evaluating the final product of your research, we are able to moderate that session so that you focus on the task at hand. We do it. So I also uh, was doing the actual data collection. So the actual data collection, my responsibilities suddenly became too difficult for me to handle. I have a lot on my plate, so it's very difficult for me to be traveling to the sites to do it. So that part of the business, I've decided to just, respectfully surrender, because I simply do not have the time to go to the field. I'm office bound. I'm always working. I move from my office at the university to my office at home because there's just a lot to do. So I'm unable to. So those
Do
are the things.
I just completed my honors, and now I'm applying for a master's. I'm required to write a concept note. I'm not sure if what I've written is good enough. Can I send it to you and you review it for me at a charge
Yes,
as well? Okay.
yes.
So you okay.
We are able to review
I
that for
usually
you.
gonna send people towards your direction and tell them to say no, this is the right person, not to me. Can
Yeah,
how do
we are able
people
to
contact
review
you?
that. Huh?
How do people contact you?
Um,
But
Actually, on this very TikTok, I've got a beautiful poster of mine. There's a number there that you need to send me a WhatsApp with a detailed message about what the problem is. I recommend that a WhatsApp be sent, because then I'm able to track the message, unlike the calls, because as I have said, it gets so hectic. I'm going to miss your call. So you need to send me the WhatsApp message, a very detailed WhatsApp message. This is a qualitative research that I'm doing, and I'm stuck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to sit and then eventually respond to your to your message, so that we can have that one-on-one conversation, and then we are going to exchange emails there, where you are going to send me your document so I see what the problem is, and then an invoice is going to be generated. You accept the invoice and make the necessary payment. Then we are going to start working on your document, and then before we even work on your document, then we are going to tell you about the exact date when the document is going to be ready, because this quality requires time, guys.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be rushing things because a person will go high bow.
Mm.
I want to focus on it and do the actual review and then give my feedback on it so that I know that you are working on a solid document, because people come when they are really frustrated with the back and forth. So
True.
this service is about, reducing those back and forth. So I'm going to do the work, review the document, and then if I'm doing the conceptual framework, I'm helping you justify the conceptual framework and all of those. I'm going to do that. And then we are going to have a one-on-one session like this one. And then we are going to talk about it. Now I have read this proposal here, how, and I think this is a relevant concept, theoretical framework, and this is my reasons for saying so. So let us have a discussion if this resonates with you, because you still have to defend this in your respective department.
True.
So yeah, so a person gets involved every step of the way. So even when you do have that theoretical framework and you have tried to make your justifications, I'm able to help you further justify and all of those so that it doesn't get retained.
Thank you, Lava. Guys, please
That's what we
follow him.
do.
If you are doing your masters, you have intentions of doing your masters. I genuinely recommend that you get in contact with him. He's helped me a lot in my journey from the time I was writing my concept note. By the way, you are a reviewer too in my life. You know that, right?
And then you must don't forget to mention that I'm brutal like that.
You you also like that to your clients. I thought it's because I'm your friend.
No, no, it's just that we need to, we need to have the conversation. You need to be able to justify that. Even to me, if you are unable to justify it to me, then how are you going to justify it
My
to the
supervisor.
respective department and your supervisors? That's
Mm.
how it gets to be written, because you did not provide the solid reasons and justifications why this is relevant.
Mm. Guys, he's yeah, he wants you to know your stuff, not in a bad way, but he will give you questions that makes you see that there are certain things that you didn't look at. You need to go back and do your homework. Like once you are done with him on a call, you will think about the call for a good 2 hours, 2 hours post that call. I'm thinking, I'm hoping that we are driving this conversation, you guys, in the direction that is assistive to people. But my friend Unkosana left us a comment here, and I think he said something like, very insightful conversation. I'm now tempted to register for my PhD. He holds a master's in public health. And so I'm hoping that this conversation is achieving what I wanted to achieve on the people who are doing their masters or the people who are intending to get into master's program. Compliment from Umbas, and I don't want to take it because he already has his master's degree, so he understands Kagiso a little bit better and understands this conversation a little bit better. But on my end, I want students at the nursing college to. Nandi was here earlier on, and I don't know if she's left. Actually, maybe I should bring her in because I want students from the nursing college to sit in these conversations and understand what we are saying. Have light, pertaining to the world of research. This is something that I lacked as a student at nursing college. I didn't have an opportunity to sit in rooms like this where an expert like Okagiso speak to what research is and see myself getting into that space. I don't know. I wanted Ugunandi to just give us a feedback. I don't know if she's here or not, but if she's not, it is okay. I'm going to post. Please repeat what you say, Mas. in public health. It is Ungosana, goes by Upapasi. I don't think he's still here. But I'm going to post this on my YouTube. Uh, those who wish to reach out to Kagiso publicly, privately, go to his platform. You will find key details. I would love for us to talk about okay, next on our next live. I don't know when is it gonna be. I don't know if we should do it. I think we should do one per month, right? I wanted us to talk about the different kinds of methodologies, that is qualitative and quantitative. And my friend, I don't want to abuse you, ne? But when I don't find someone else, but I'll go and look. I'll go and look. I'll go and look for two people, one to come and talk about qualitative and the other one to speak about quantity. You know, so the emphasis that you were making about people in clinical doing their master's degrees, the person who asked me to say, Z, why should I do my master's, just entered the room. Do please go and watch this live on YouTube. You are even late. Go and watch this live on YouTube because I quoted you on this live. But on our next live, I think I would love for us to explore methodology and how to also choose the right data collection method for your study. Like, how do you get to that? You don't just wake up and say, oh, which one is trendy? I want to go for the trendy one. You don't do that. There are certain things that you need to take into consideration. I'd love for us to cover that on our next live. I'm still considering about should we do 2 lives for e-research per month or should we do one? But I will put it out there. The last person who's going to speak now, it's gonna be Uhunandi, just giving a feedback as someone who went to the nursing college. Uhunandi, I honestly feel like she's a younger version of myself. And I'm very passionate about the nursing colleges because I come from there. I
Yeah,
will let
but
Tess.
before you let Hunadi in, I'm seeing Manoko has put something here. Our next live, we also need to talk about how to choose a supervisor because it is going to eliminate all of those problems of saying my supervisor decided not to take my topic as it is and she, decided on a topic change because this is also very, very important.
Okay. Okay. I will write this down immediately after this TikTok live. I will write it down so that I do not forget it. Hunandi, can you give feedback, my baby, as someone who just completed their undergrad at a nursing school?
Oh, Nani, hi Z. Thank you so much. I came late today. I came back from work very late. But again, as much as there's a little bit of a gap between when you just complete your undergrad qualification and when you get to a part where you actually go into your research and everything, I'm happy with how the R171 has structured their curriculum because we had a module called here, Health Informatics and Research, and we had a project where we had to pick research topics and we went and we collected data in hospitals and everything. So I think we were already being brought into a space regarding what research is about, and we were a little bit prepared. Although I know, like on a bigger stage, it's going to be a different ball game. But as for GCon with R171, we were already like introduced to the basics of what research is.
Yeah.
So the conversation was actually very fruitful and very informative because it did like spark a little bit of what we were taught in school. But yeah, for people like me who really love research, it is always just so nice to get in touch with people who are also looking into those spaces. I used to work as a data collector for Action Aid in Africa Tikkun, so I'm really excited to go back into doing research and on a larger scale, just contributing to the larger pool of nursing academics. So yeah, thank you so much and congratulations to Dr. Kagiso. Um, Your work is profound, and we see you as young people, and we appreciate you also just giving us the platform and also assisting other nurses in terms of completing their research projects. So yeah, thank you so much for today.
Thank you, my angel. You know, I always bring you on the hot seat, right? I think at this point you probably feel like, oh, I don't want to talk today. Let me not join these TikToks because I know she's gonna call on me. But thank you so much, Kahi. Closing remarks, and also, can you advise if we should start with the topic that Manuku suggested before we go on data collection, or it doesn't matter?
I think because it came up as a burning issue during this live, it can be tackled next.
Okay.
Manuku's suggestion,
Okay.
because it will reduce a whole lot of tears. Leona area, the choices of the research designs will always become an issue between the supervisor and the supervisee, because if I am a qualitative researcher like this, then it's very easier to influence my students towards a certain methodology which is going to be qualitative, obviously.
Yeah.
So we need to, yeah, I think we need to talk about the supervisor next.
Okay. Oh, Papa Sibuti, please call me. My friend, do I have you on WhatsApp? You know, I changed. Can you please say hi on WhatsApp? I've changed phones and stuff.
Well, look at Benjamin. Benjamin is going to to influence all of his students to do quantitative studies.
This one is out of order.
And he's
Uchi
going
quantitative all the way.
quantitative all the way. So he's going to he's going to give us the qualitative researchers a run for our monies, because he will always want us to go the quantitative route.
Okay, so on our next live, guys, I think yeah, we've got a lot of quantitative people. At least now I know who to approach. But
But where are you? Because right now I feel like I'm fighting alone here.
uyandazi mna uyandazi uba I'm a quali girl kaloku mna. I'm a
Thank you.
conversationalist. I'm a conversationalist mna, guys. I don't even think you need to question uba ndiphi. But let me think, guys, if we should be doing this once a month or maybe like 2 times. But I think once a month is enough. I don't want us to leave behind other important conversation within the next sector. But yeah, no, it's a battle of methodologies now on the cards. Umanuko just came in with him now. I'm a qualitative all the way. Okay, guys. Yeah, the quali girls are also entering the chat room. Zim, I'm just seeing you now. I don't know how long have you been here, but those who came in late, guys, the live is going to be on YouTube. I don't want to make it long because I struggle to download them and post them over there. But other than that, Kahi, I think you know how much we appreciate you in this platform. Like, you are literally a co-founder of this platform. Ngaphandle kwakho sana, siyaphalala. Thank you so much, my friend, for being selfless with the knowledge that you have. And it's not knowledge that was served to you on a silver platter. I personally know how hard you worked for you to have this kind of knowledge to be where you are and who you are. So I appreciate that you don't hesitate when I call on you to come and of yourself. And again, congratulations on your PhD, guys. We are all going to the PhD graduation party. Yeah, I will come back with an invitation. But yeah, other than that, Masla Leni, let's meet again next week on Monday. Same place, same time. That is 8 p.m. And I will tell you what the topic will be during the week. Good night.
Night, night. And thank you so much, everyone, for the congratulatory messages. Right now, I feel like everybody's going to wait for me at APK when I emerge from that. that auditorium, because this has been really a journey for all of us. I know everybody has been waiting. Most of the people rather have been waiting for these news. So I'm happy that I'm able to share with you and you are able to celebrate with me.
Mm. It is a for all of us. Thank you, guys. Good night.